Hello everybody, Buddy Way in Midland, Texas. This video today is going to be called Email to the Sheriff. As some of you know, I've been in contact with our new sheriff, Sheriff Criner, and he has he's replied back to me and told me I sent evidence that he was sending the information I was sending over to his criminal investigation team. And I don't even know how many emails I sent so far. There's a lot to tell. But what it reminded me of is in May 2nd, 2017, I created a video called Email to the Chief. Okay. And I sent this, I created this email and I read it out while I was making a video. And then I sent the video, or I sent the email while I was making the video. And then I posted it online so everybody in the whole world could see that the email to the chief, that the chief got this email. And I quoted our chief of police at the time, was Price Robinson, because the news had quoted what he had said. I'll hold my officers accountable. Well, you know, I had a dozen secret police pictures. I couldn't get them identified. You know what I mean? So I sent him this email, created this video, and a month later he announced his retirement. He never replied. Okay. So here, you know, that's kind of the idea of this email, or this video that I'm going to name Email to Sheriff. And I want to focus on public corruption. Okay. And it's the basis of me contacting the sheriff's department is because the remains of a young girl were found in 2013. And I believe it's, my friend told me about a young girl being murdered at an oil show party in 2010. I think it's the same girl. And I think that happened in the underground facilities in the backyard. And so I think her murder is connected to the suspected murder of the last homeowner and the attempted murder on my life, and then all the break-ins and all the crimes and all that. And so then they're all tied together. And so that's why I'm sending the sheriff's department this information, because it's all connected back to this Crime Stopper. This is a Crime Stopper tip, is what it is, for the remains of a girl. And people should, and the feeling I get is nobody cares. Oh, it's just a murdered 14-year-old. Nobody cares. Been one news story. Nobody posts about it. Nobody talks about it. Nothing. I think most people around this town, I think they know, because they do know about these underground facilities. They knew about the oil show parties. They know about the crimes against me. They're pretending that they don't, But either way, that's what I'm gonna do. I've got this is a longer video because there's just so many examples of public corruption. The reason public corruption is the focus is because of what's in the news, right? There's a protest going on across the nation for police corruption. Okay. Well, I have specific examples that I'm sending to the new sheriff of police corruption. Examples of showing this police officer lied about this on this murder attempt. This police officer lied about this on this hit, and here's the evidence, and here's the evidence, and here's the evidence, and it's a lot of it, okay? Because what we got is a large group of police conspired together, okay? It is a conspiracy, not a theory, a conspiracy. They're working together, and they're trying to cover up the murder attempt on my life. And very possibly one of them was the shooter that they tried to murder me in my house. We don't know that, but that's why we need a real law enforcement officer, such as Sheriff Criner or another law enforcement officer, someone that does follow the law, that's not guilty of this police corruption, and to investigate and get this over, because it looks like it's multiple murders. And so I'm going to read this. Y'all can watch it if you want, or you can just listen to this part, and then I'm going to flip over and I'm going to go on to the evidence side and show you, well, here's this medical record, here's this police report, here's this, and I'm going to talk about that, and basically I'm going to back up everything that I got here. Okay. So Sheriff Criner, as you know, there's a Crime Stoppers out for information about the 14 to 21-year-old girl whose remains were found outside of Midland in 2013, and that my friend told me about a young girl being murdered at an oil show party in 2010. My friend was afraid to report this murder because high-level police were at the party. I have reason to believe these famous parties were held in the underground home said by many people to be near my home, and possibly the one believed to be in my backyard. This is where former sheriff candidate Joe Lozano, that you ran against, said that our last sheriff, Gary Painter, who died a year ago, used to hang out. For that reason, I believe the murder of that young girl is connected to the suspected murder of the last homeowner of this home, Mike Lawhon, and then the attempted murder on my life, and then the cover-up. I'm sure that you also know that nationwide protests are going on due to police corruption. And in this email, I'm going to give you specific and proven examples of Midland police and other persons of authority involved in tampering with evidence, lying on police reports, omitting evidence, and obstruction of justice in the crimes here. I understand this is much bigger than my home or the multiple murders believed to be connected with it, as homeowners all over Midland, Odessa, Texas, and other states are documented as reporting the same crimes that I reported starting before I was ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut. Okay, in January 28, 2012. Okay, so what I'm doing is one lie, tamper with evidence, etc. Okay, and these are not in a great order. They're as I thought about it. I tried to group them a little bit, keep them in a kind of an order, but they jump around a little bit. Okay, but each one of them is backed up with a piece of evidence, and that's what I'm going to show on the evidence side. Here I'm just I'm telling the sheriff, and then I'm going to show the evidence on the back half of this video. Lie. Okay, Rosie Rodriguez omitted the fact that she climbed in my truck at the 7-Eleven, and April Chandler lied and said that she was the one that climbed in my truck and gave me first aid. Okay, and of course right then that's my word against their word, and there's two of them and there's one of me, right? They both lied about the 7-Eleven for some unknown reason. I wondered if it was because Rosie was a shooter. I mean, I don't know why they lied. I know they lied. I was there. Rosie climbed into my truck. The emergency detention form at the hospital showed that Officer April Chandler, was there at 11:03 p.m. when the police report showed that she didn't leave the 7-Eleven until 11:07, and she didn't get to the hospital until 11:17. This is the proof that April Chandler lied about meeting me at the 7-Eleven, just like I said. So I found evidence to back up what I was saying. They both lied about who met me at the 7-Eleven. Rosie Rodriguez climbed in my truck and not April Chandler. One of them's Hispanic and others are blonde. I know the difference. I didn't even know who April Chandler was until months later. I knew who Rosie Rodriguez was. She climbed in my truck. And come to find out, she was the lifelong friend of the ex-wife I filed divorce on 5 days earlier. Okay. Next one. April Chandler stated that she found my voice recorder on 12912 and it was checked into evidence along with my 222 guns, but it wasn't on the evidence logs on 12/18/13 when they were subpoenaed before the protective order hearing. The nurse's notes showed that I told Rosie Rodriguez about this recorder, which had recorded the burglar alarms going off before I was shot. It proved that I was shot during a home invasion because burglar alarms were going off. The nurse's notes, okay, the ER nurses, wrote that she's writing what I'm saying, that I'm telling Rodriguez, I have proof, go look, there's proof. Okay, so I told Rodriguez there's proof at my house. It was this voice recorder, recorded the burglar alarms going off, and they stole the proof. That's what happened. I made a point of this on Facebook, just like I did, and in the public. So MPD Sergeant Matt Davis handwrites it in, voice recorder on the evidence logs a year later, okay, and then quits the police department a few days after the protective order hearing, okay. My guess is somebody in MPD figured out that Matt Davis was involved, and the reason that Matt Davis quit after 12 years with the police department on the month of the protective order hearing was because it was figured out Matt Davis was involved in covering up the murder attempt on my life, okay. Very important on that voice recorder. Tampering with evidence is what it is, right? Tampering with evidence. And if they'll do it one time, they'll do it 100 times. If they'll do it to, some Christian that's a 28-year company man that's worked all his life and bought a home, they'll do this to anybody. They'll destroy the life of any hardworking person, for whatever reason, to steal their home, for revenge for their friend, who knows what it is. But what we know is it's police corruption, proven police corruption. Okay, lie. Rosie stated that I told her I was locking up for the night and I accidentally knocked over my gun, which was another lie. I didn't say that. The nurse's note showed that I told her about burglar alarms going off over and over as I was under home invasion when I shot. I did not tell Rosie that a home invasion was going on when I shot by surprise. So the proof is the nurse's notes, because myself and the nurse, we agree. And Rosie, when she was making up her lie, didn't expect the nurse to be documenting what I was saying. So now I have proof that she blatantly lied on the police report again. Okay, and we're going to see this again and again and again. There's a lot of lies here to cover up this murder attempt. Okay, Lie. Rosie Rodriguez, an ex-wife, testified at the protective order hearing that I was delusional, which fulfilled an extortion threat the ex-wife had made a few months before the murder attempt. A recording was made after this where the ex-wife admits to this felony extortion of an estimated $1,800 a month, and she threatened me that if I didn't pay her, she was going to tell everybody that I was crazy. Okay, and I didn't pay, and she did. And not only did she do it, she did it with her lifelong childhood friend that she went to grade school with, Midland detective Rosa Rodriguez. Okay, so the perjury from the detective was Rodriguez calling me delusional, and what that was it was to cover up the murder of my life, but it fulfilled the extortion threat. Okay, and I don't know if Rodriguez was going to get any of that extortion money. Maybe she's mad. Who knows? But you know, there's a video on it. She admitted to it. She also admitted to being a witness to the crimes at my house. And then she turns around in court and says, "Oh, he's crazy. He thinks people breaking the house." But I've got a recording of her admitting to sitting here being, you know, admitting to it. Okay, plus trying to use it to extort money from me. All right. Lie. MPD Detective Rosa Rodriguez said that I told her my battery was down on my phone, and that is why I crawled out. But I didn't say that, as I had my cordless phone in my pocket, which sat on the charger all the time. It was fully charged. I had the cordless phone because my cell phone had been stolen before I was shot, and my home phone line was disconnected. They tried to kill me, okay? And also, my inside camera was terminated. I didn't do that either. There's a record on it. I suspect this was done around at 8:08 p.m. as this was time the bedroom camera shows to be terminated. When I got back home from the hospital, I found my home phone back to working, and my cell phone had been planted behind my nightstand next to my bed. I also found a picture on my security camera of Rosie Rodriguez leaning over my nightstand. Okay, based on the timestamps, I believe she was planting my cell phone. And she had April Chandler standing next to her. Based on the timestamps, it looks like her and April Chandler waited until the other police left my bedroom, and then they planted my previously stolen cell phone. It had been stolen in the hours before I was ambushed and shot. And somehow, I believe Rosie had it. I don't know if she stole it, but she had it, and she was planting it that night. And there's a picture of it. There's proof, okay? And so, not to mention the lie, okay? Lied, falsified the police report because she says I told her my battery was dead on my phone. And I didn't say that because I had the cordless phone and it sat on the charger all the time. It was fully charged, okay? She made that up. And I think it was excuse making is what she's doing, because she knew what happened and she's, oh, we got to come up with an excuse to explain this part, right? They never planned on me surviving. I was supposed to bleed out and die. You know, this wasn't part of the plan that they're having to make up lies and cover up the fact that I lived, you know? And I mean, literally, that's the truth, okay? Okay. Lie. When I returned from the hospital, I found that my spare shotgun shells from my closet had been stolen, and they were not checked in as evidence. CSI Marty Barrett checked in 4 live shells, but conveniently omits the size of pellets from them. Okay, I found a single spare shotgun shell stuck between hanging clothes in my closet, and that was the only reason that I figured out what the size of pellets was, and it was the reason it wasn't stolen, because it was hanging between them clothes. Okay, this is what told me the size of pellets in my gun was 7.5, and the size of pellets removed from my foot shown on the lab report was size 5. Okay, so that's 2.5 sizes different between the size of pellets in my foot and the size of pellets that were in my gun. Okay, that proves ballistic evidence that I wouldn't shot my gun. It's like saying the guy with the 22 didn't shoot the person that has a whole bullet from a 45 in him. It didn't happen. Okay, I wasn't shot with my gun. There's absolute proof there. Okay, and it's not just one its size. It's 2.5 sizes. Okay, and so further than that, what we're going to see is that the 4 live shells that come out of my shotgun, that the same CSI Marty Barrett I'm sure intentionally, I feel like it was intentionally omitted the size of pellets. He did that on purpose, okay? Because they knew the size of pellets would prove that I wasn't shot with my gun. And proof of saying I wasn't shot with my gun means somebody else shot me. It's the same thing as that voice recorder being stolen. That voice recorder recorded the burglar alarms going off. It proved I wasn't shot with my gun. That means somebody came to my home and shot me, all right? I'm home minding my own business. They loaded their guns. They come to my home and they tried to kill me. That's what happened. And it might have been police that did that, okay? And so, remember, omission is also a crime, okay? And not only lying, but omitting evidence is a crime, okay? And so that's why that was omitted. Here we go. We'll go next. Okay. Okay, a subpoena was issued for all police records before the protective order hearing on December 18, 2013. Now, I'm shot in January 2012, so it's almost 2 years later. And missing on was the police incident report for the night that I was ambushed and shot, the night of the murder attempt. Okay, they were ordered by the court, signed by a judge, by subpoena to turn that over to me, and they didn't do it. That's what caused the secret police. Okay, and the police had accidentally started my camera while trying to disable it, so I had pictures of them in my home, but I didn't have any names. Okay, that and I have proof of that because the camera logs and the computer logs. Okay, that is what caused me to nickname them the secret police and offer a $2,000 reward. Never happened before in the history of America as a crime victim offer a reward to identify police. Happened here in Midland. That is the level of police corruption going on in Midland, and your press isn't telling you about it. Okay, and nobody in the police feels no pressure whatsoever to change what they're doing, and because the public has been kept ignorant about what the police is doing here in Midland, Texas, and I think we would be having bigger protests here in Midland about police corruption. Okay, so on January 4, 2016, I met the chief of police, mayor, and city council, district attorney, attorney general Paxton, and others announcing this reward, $2,000 reward, to identify these police. Like I said, that's just incredible, right? In May 2018, Empire Private Investigations identified all 11 of them. See, and up until then, well, they might have been police, they might not have been police. Some people were going, well, you can buy police uniforms. They were saying they wasn't police. You know, I had people actually telling me that, you know, and because I couldn't get them identified. I went years, 6 years of death threats and stalking, people breaking my house, and other people going, I'd sell that outfit as high as you because they're trying to terrorize me out of my house, and I'm reporting crimes to law enforcement, and they're looking the other way like they're stupid and letting the crimes being committed against me, hoping that I'm going to move out so they can cover up the underground facilities, the tunnels, the multiple murders, and all the crimes. And that is a violation of the Hobbs Act. It's a crime, okay? Police corruption. There we go. Okay. And so, in 2019, I found out there was a police report all along with many things wrong with it, okay? And I'm going to list some of these, and all of these, you know, every one of these are falsified reports, you know, I could list out individually, okay? So that's police corruption, okay? And here I'm going to do that, okay? So here we go. A subpoena was issued for all police records before the protective order hearing on December 18, 2013. And the police report for 12/9/12 was omitted. Okay, so they were required by a court order to turn over all police records, and they didn't give me the police report for the night that I was shot. Okay, 12/28/12, but they also didn't give me a one for 12/9/12. Okay, and that's what I'm saying here. And what that was a call where Vivint, and I'm going to explain that to you here, called the police to my house. Okay, I paid Vivint over $1,000 to install a security system in my attic next to the burglar alarms that I had put in to prove these crimes were going on. Okay, and it went into alarm, a valid alarm. Okay, and dispatched the police to my home 2 times. Okay. I ended up having to disable it under threat from the city to be fined. This was the first time on this date that the omitted police report, okay, officers Iliad Emperan and Michael Chandler, the husband of April Chandler, were dispatched to my house. On both calls, the police refused to go up in my attic and look. And they're called not by me, the homeowner. They were called by Vivid, a third-party security system that I'm paying per month, right? And they're still trying to cover it up, literally. Okay. I suspect this report was illegally withheld because it showed they changed this call from an alarm to a warrant and then back. It looks like they were going to arrest me because Vivint's system had recognized somebody as my attic and had dispatched them to my house. This was a valid burglar alarm. Okay. And so that's another one of the where they illegally withheld the police report. Was the second report they withheld, and that showed that it looked like they changed it from a alarm call to a warrant and then back to alarm. And so I suspect somewhere out there there was some attempt to get a warrant. Maybe it failed. That's my guess. Okay. We're talking lawlessness, right? Lie. MPD Detective Rose Rodriguez wrote on police reports and testified under oath that she found a tripwire on my gun, but there's no tripwire in evidence. Okay, if she found a tripwire as she wrote on the police report, and she testified under oath, which is aggravated felony perjury and not about falsifying a police report. Okay, then that tripwire would be in evidence. I think we can all agree to that. It's not in evidence. Okay. And none of the other dozen police that were here mentioned a tripwire, which includes CSI Marty Barrett, that stated he picked up my gun from my home and checked into evidence. Okay, and multiple pieces of evidence proved beyond a shadow of doubt that I wasn't shot with my gun. As in the size of pellets are 2.5 sizes different. A lot of plastic in my wound. Lisa Rogers says I shot with a 45, and multiple other pieces of evidence that prove without any doubt I wasn't shot with my gun, and that means somebody come to my home and shot me. Okay, and so the tripwire lie, that's a big one right there. And anyone, and that goes to prove it. I read the other day that there was a police saying if you lie you die, because a policeman is expected to have integrity. Okay, and to be truthful. But when they're just making up stuff against an innocent homeowner and crime victim, then that's out of control. I mean, they'll go after anybody. It's the dirty of the dirty. I said that before. Okay, the dirty of the dirty. Lie. MPD Detective Rose Rodriguez testified under oath that she called my ex-wife on the night that I was shot, but the ex-wife testified in the same hearing that my daughter, Jennifer, called her and told her to call Rosie. One of them lied. So one of them committed perjury in that protective order hearing case. And basically what it means is they didn't have their stories together. Okay? And so it's probably Rosa Rodriguez because, I think she's well documented as far as lying. Okay? Rosa Rodriguez stated I had blown, that's Detective Rosa Rodriguez too. Lie. Rosa Rodriguez stated I had blown off half my foot, which was another lie she made up. When I got to the hospital, I had 2 small holes in my foot as I saw them myself. The proof is where the ER doctor, my brother-in-law that I didn't know about, stated that I had a through and through gunshot wound, which appears to be from a gunshot blast. That proved this lie by Rosa Rodriguez. But it's interesting, this doctor used those words as the evidence has led me to believe that I was shot with a special bullet called a Glazer safety slug, which is a plastic tip, pellet-filled bullet that would appear to be from a shotgun. I suspected that Rosie knew about my x-rays being faked, where it's suspected they took the x-rays of another guy that had been shot with a shotgun 11 days earlier and put my name on them. Okay. This guy was missing his heel bone, and I noticed that the x-rays before the surgery were showing a foot full of pellets and a foot that was missing the heel bones. Okay, and so I was then taken into surgery where they cut off my heel bone to match the x-rays. That's why I say that I was intentionally maimed, mutilated, and dismembered to cover up this failed murder. 2 days later, Rosie mentions amputation on the police report, and amputation was suggested over and over and over again by the doctors. I believe they were desperate to cut off the evidence, which was my leg. Okay, they wouldn't do a below the knee amputation. And so just so you got that, myself, I had 2 small holes in my foot when I got the ER. The ER doctor says I have a through and through gunshot wound. We're in agreement. Okay, there's my proof that that's what I have. But Rosie Rodriguez wrote on the police report that my foot was shot off, and the back of my foot was shot off, which was a lie she made up. I think she knew they were faking them x-rays with the guy that's missing his heel bone. Okay, and then they took me into surgery and they cut my heel bone out to match the fake x-rays. Okay, that's where I was intentionally maimed, mutilated, dismembered. And as I said, the ER doctor, come to find out, was the brother-in-law of the ex-wife that had filed divorce on 5 days earlier. I didn't know. And she's the one that told me, it's not in here, that the secret is a group of doctors are killing people for profit. Right? And that's not in here, but I testified that in court, and that's a true story. Another one. Okay, let's go to the next one. Lie. 2 days after the murder attempt, Officer April Chandler makes up a life-destroying lie and states that I'm a paranoid schizophrenic and permanently attaches this to my name, so any police officer in the future that pulls my name up on their computer system sees this lie that she made up. Okay, I hadn't been diagnosed with that disease, nor do I have it. In fact, I was cleared by mental health while I was in the hospital as they were called in to evaluate me because of this intentional defamation of my character. Okay, keep in mind that you know, I was a 28-year company man, granddad, and you know, I moved to Midland with hope and excitement, spent my life savings on the American dream, my home, and this home is rigged. That's what happened. And then they tried to kill me, and all these lies were to cover up, right? Oh, he's crazy, right? And making it up. I mean, just making stuff up. Yeah, that's what you're seeing. That's what's going on. These are life-destroying lies that have followed me, you know, and while I live under a death threat, you know, and truly evil. I've called it inhumane. These are people, sociopaths without a conscience. They're just evil to the core. That's all there is to it. There's nothing you can say about this, you know. I mean, that's what it is, and the absolute proof. Okay. The next one is tampered with evidence. The evidence logs that I got before the protective order hearing on December 18, 2013 showed that CSI Marty Barrett checked in 4 live shotgun shells from my gun, but he didn't check in an empty shotgun shell, which would have also been in the gun if I'd been shot with my gun. Remember, they're saying I shot myself with my own gun, okay? It wasn't there because I hadn't been shot with my gun, of course. I made a big point of this on Facebook, and Sergeant Matt Davis hand wrote in this missing evidence and then quit the police force in December 2013. Same month protective order. Same thing at the same deal with the voice recorder. I found it and I forgot. Look here. There's no empty shotgun shell in evidence. Here's the proof. Here's where I've been saying. That's what I was on. You know, that's what I'm going. Here's the proof. I found the proof. This proves I wasn't shot with my gun. It means somebody else shot me, and he literally scribbled out one piece of evidence, hand wrote in 2 spent shotgun shells. Okay, isn't that amazing? I already went over the size pellets, and you know, and that was omitted again, conveniently omitted. And I don't think it's I don't know if conveniently, where it is convenient, but it's more intentional. It was intentional omission of evidence because they knew that the size pellets proved that I wasn't shot with my gun too. Okay. And so. Okay, here's my next section. The first person seen showing up at my home was Martin County Sheriff John Woodward, and this is Midland County, okay? He was not dispatched, and his name was omitted. Okay, remember, omission is a crime. And this ain't, oh, we just accidentally forgot him. 6 of them secret police that took me 6 years to get identified, they don't have their name on the police report. That's not no accident. That's intentional, okay? And it's suspected that maybe he was in the underground home when I shot, and maybe he was the shooter. And this is Martin County Sheriff John Woodward. And the second person seen arriving on camera after I crawled out on my hands and knees was a late Midland Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor that was said to have died in line of duty in October 2014. He wasn't dispatched, and his name was also omitted from the police report. It's suspected that he was in the underground home in the backyard when I was shot, and maybe he was the shooter. Okay, Naylor is, you know, you're going 191 driving from Midland, Odessa. This is the Mike Naylor Memorial Highway. They named a highway after him. But, you know, it's been hidden from the public that Mike Naylor was one of the secret police that I had to pay to get identified. He was the second person shown arriving at my house after I had crawled out on my hands and knees from being shot, ambushed, and shot with my phone lines cut. Right, you know, he should have been suspected in as far as being a suspect in the capital murder attempt on my life. It's proven I was shot with my own gun. And so that's what I'm saying. Maybe he was in an underground facility. And it's also his boss, Painter, was said to be hanging out in the underground homes, okay? And so, that shows you the cover-up that's going on here that includes the press, because the press has kept the public ignorant of the facts, the truth. And that's allowed this police corruption to just go unchecked, because they can literally do anything to any time, anyone, go in anybody's house, do anything. And they're lying, and they're stealing, and they're omitting evidence, and they're covering up. And that's it. I mean, I've said this is probably the largest public corruption in the history of the state of Texas. I believe that. Yeah. One of the 9 seen inside my home was Midland K9 police officer Chad Simpson, and he goes on to murder his wife and kill himself 2 months after Naylor died in December 2014. He was not dispatched, and his name was omitted from the police report too. Maybe he was also in an underground home in the backyard. I had posted his picture on Facebook 2 days before he murdered his wife, along with a story called Rape and Murder, which is the story of the young girl that was murdered at the 2010 Old party, which had police there. Maybe Sandra Simpson read that story and asked him about it. Sandra was his wife that he alleged to have murdered. So basically, one of the officers, secret police, seen inside my house was wearing a Midland K9 police jacket, and that was in 2012. In 2014, a Midland K9 police officer murders his wife and kills himself. 2 days before that murder, I had posted a story on my Facebook called Rape and Murder, talking about the girl at the oil show party that refused to prostitute and was murdered. The police were there. And so that's still on my timeline, December 13, 2014, on my Facebook timeline, the story called Rape and Murder. So here's Chad's picture, but I don't know it's him because they're not identified. And here's his story, and 2 days later, he murders his wife and kills himself. So the question's been asked, did Sandra run across my Facebook post? Because see, Chad and Sandra are from my hometown, of Hobbs, Mexico. Maybe somebody said, hey, go look what Buddy's posted. She looks at it, she says, oh, that's my husband. And she says, were you at a party where they murdered a little girl, And he just, boom, I'll kill you, I'll teach you, and then killed himself. I don't know, but that makes sense, doesn't it? That's one possible scenario. And so, here's a big thing right here. Each one of these are, like I said, lie, the falsified police report, 6 of the 11, illegally withheld police report. Look at the amount of corruption. 6 of the 11 law enforcement officers seen on camera, identified by Empire Private Investigations. I had to pay them. If they told me false information or whatever, they could be sued, right? And you can bet that they got the 11 names right? 6 of the 11 law enforcement officers seen on camera, identified by the PI, they didn't have their names. They were names that were omitted. That's an omission on the police report. Falsification of police reports. 6 out of 11. 3 of them are dead, And and then there's some people going, what if they were going to snitch? What if Naylor was going to, turn in state evidence against the other secret police? Or what if Chad Simpson was going, no, I know what happened. There's $1 million underground facilities that are having oil show parties and forced prostitution, and these police officers are involved. And so them secret police, they have a motive to kill them, right? Doesn't that make sense? And what would they do? They would cover it up. Oh, that's a murder-suicide. Look here, case closed, done, finished, right? That's another possibility. Lie. The police report for 12812, not in the murder attempt, also showed that 5 police officers, Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale, were at or inside my home when they were not seen arriving on the security camera, which caught myself, Woodward, and Naylor. This is how I knew they came here via the tunnels that multiple people have said were here and had entered from the now removed trap door from where I was ambushed and shot during a burglary. It's very possible that one of them was the shooter. And so let me put this as perspective. I call that 1042. 1101, Woodward and Naylor are seen arriving. 1103, Davis and Dickey are listed in the police report as being at my house, but they're arriving. 1105 is when Dickey is inside my home. And so I'm running out of time here on this video, But that told me they came in from the trapdoor the ex-wife told me about. I know it's from where I'm shot because the evidence showed me where the shot come from. I knew for a fact that the shot came, from under that cabinet. And I knew it wasn't shot from, with my gun. And so there's no trapdoor now there. So I believe it was removed between the 2 police visits, between 12912 and 2112. Matt Davis had my keys during that time. I believe that. And I got a feeling he might know something about it. Okay. I got a couple more. I don't know if I can fit them in. I'm getting a message that my video is going to end. The police report showed MPD detected Dickey was in my house 11:05, and he said there was booby traps in here. Okay, no booby traps on the evidence. Dickey lied. There's another one. Lie. 11:03. April Chandler's at the hospital filling out an emergency form, and she writes that I caused myself to suffer a gunshot wound. Except the proof shows I wasn't shot with my gun. And how can a person, that homeowner that's home by themselves under a burglary, cause himself to be shot? And it was another lie by April Chandler. Okay, I want to be clear, and this is just more I was writing up to the sheriff. I want to be clear that crimes against me have never stopped, and rarely a day goes by that I don't hear somebody inside my home. I'm writing this to the sheriff. I'm telling him right now. I was told the last homeowner, Michael Ahan, was telling his friends about people breaking in his home before he died. These are the same exact crimes that I first reported in November 2010 and are the same ones that were going on when I was shot by surprise. The last email contained a list of over 50 videos showing burglar alarms going off in my home, and this is just as sure as 5 police officers were at or inside my home and not seen it arriving. It's just as sure as Sheriff candidate Lozano said that Painter used to hang out here. It's just as sure as the police falsified the police reports and tampered evidence multiple times. It's unknown why these crimes are still going on, but I have a feeling a part of it is to terrorize me into selling my property at the price they want, violation of the Hobbs Act, and another part is to protect the underground homes and tunnels from being exposed by me, the crime victim. Okay, this remains a dangerous situation. Please remember, I'm a disabled and defenseless crime victim, living under the threat of death and speaking out against a large criminal gang, including a large group of police who have destroyed my life and reputation with lies. For some unknown reason, our press has hidden these facts from the public, which has allowed the lawlessness to continue. His gang is believed to have committed multiple murders. I'm hoping that you're a man of integrity, as you claim, when you're running for sheriff, Buddy Webb. You will find attached many pieces of evidence backing up these stories of police lying on the police report, tampering the evidence. This is not all of the evidence that I have, and I'm sure that I've forgotten some too. I'm be glad to visit with your investigative team, as it should be easy to see that a large group of law enforcement were proved to be lying on police reports and is a danger to citizens. So what I'm going to do here, while the camera is still running, is I have the email ready to go right here, okay? And it's going to Sheriff Criner, actually to the Rangers. And I'm sending also to sending one reporter, Tatum Gwen, and with News West 9, there it is. That's the name of it. Crime Stoppers tip, 2013 girls remains, police corruption. I'm going to hit send right here while we're on camera. And there it goes, okay? And that's what I did in May 2nd, 2017 with the email that was called Email to the Chief, MPD Accountability and Secret Police. And here's the people that were copied on that email. Price Robinson, look at all the KMIDs. That's Channel 2 News, okay? It was everybody. CBS 7, look at all of them. K-West, look at all of them, okay? And, I mean, that is a whole bunch of MRT. That's the newspaper. Look at all of them, okay? I built this list. Gary Painter got this email. Courtney Sharp, our city manager. Laura Nodoff, the district attorney. Jerry Morales, the former mayor. The former city councilman. Sparks, Love, Lacey, Dufford, Robnet. Okay, they all got this email May 2nd, 2017. Well, I'm going to create a second video and show you the evidence side of this. But I thought you'd find that interesting, and so it's not my word against their word. I mean, that's all there is to it. You know, the truth, the evidence, the facts, and God's on my side. You know, and I'm just praying that Criner isn't another dirty cop.